Aloha kako. Welcome back to another Mo'olelo Monday. I feel like I need to apologize in advance for my behavior in the last video. We were in Nagoya and we were had such a long day that I was falling asleep during the Mo'olelo. And my apologies if if that came off disrespectful. And I don't mean to laugh at you folks right now, but it's funny to me. It is. I don't know about the kind. I don't know exactly how. Well, I know the storytelling took a hit, but it's it's how we roll. It's how I roll. I mean, I'm gonna take what it is that I need to share in the way that I'm sharing it, and that's it. That's it. That's all I can. That's what I can do. I mean, like I can take a million takes, right? A million takes and try to get it right. And when it comes down to the very, very end of it, it's just me sharing with you, and of course using this for a way to me for me to look back and remember the stories, remember the journey, as I would say, from how I started off with this YouTube video, I mean this YouTube channel, and then getting to this point where I'm sharing about my life with you folks. But yeah, that's just gonna be a part of it. I apologize if it was rude or if it was offensive to anybody. But yeah, um, we are currently, can't really tell by looking out this window because of bloom, but let's see if you can see that. Anyway, we are in Shimane at a hotel, and we just finished having breakfast, which was amazing. See, in Hawaii, we have, and for those of you that live there, we have many cultures, like a variety of cultures. So like anywhere you turn, you can like eat a whole bunch of different kinds of cuisine. You can experience a whole bunch of different cultures within our small island home because there are so many people that came over from plantation days and whatnot. So it's kind of like we're spoiled in that sense. But then when you actually travel to the main source, or the kumu, yeah, of the culture, you're going to realize that it's just so much better. It's so much better. The quality of the food, the quality of the service, everything. It's so different than how it is in, and I hate to say this to include Hawaii, but in America, that's our current day culture. That's what we are being groomed into living. Our young Kanaka Maoli and even our local Asian families and whatnot. We're all growing up in an Americanized world where it's all about fast paced money, money, money. We're not worried about, anybody's feelings or like even the feelings of nature itself. Yeah, that's all removed and all far and away. And it's kind of like, well, how come in these other countries that are more about nature and learning about source and how things actually are supposed to be, why are they living such healthier lives, and why are they having such better quality of lives in these other countries? And the American style is run yourself ragged and try to make your fortune and then die miserable because you didn't get to the point where you wanted, because you always want to get more and more and more. And what kind of, like, if you were standing at the proverbial gates of heaven and you saw Saint Peter, or whatever your belief is, if the afterlife. Some of you guys don't believe in anything. After you die, and so you might as well cause as much dents, punch as many dents into the world as you can to leave your mark. But when all is said and done, it's about your journey. And so this journey here to Japan, is kind of an eye opener because the last time I came, it was a while back, or a long while back, and it wasn't to these particular places, and that was for partially for pleasure, but it was a business venture that we took because my wife's halal needed assistance because they were down a man when it came to hula. So yeah, believe it or not, I was a I was a fifth hula dancer in that lineup, and this was of course a long time ago before we had kids and stuff like that. So it was a good experience. It was nice. Of course, things are so fast and so and just so I don't know. I guess because I had a younger state of mind, I just couldn't really appreciate what I'm appreciating about this place now. And yeah, it's really really nice. It's amazing. This place is so amazing, and it's awesome how the community here is so strong, and they're so respectful, and they know this is important. This is a very important aspect to the community because without it, they'll they'll fail. Things will collapse. It won't happen. For them here on these islands. And so it's kind of reminiscent of me when I talk about the whole Aloha Spirit. Yeah, Aloha Spirit is something that was created in Hawaii because of our needs and what we have, what we had to sustain, what we had to imua, yeah, propagate or to continue, to stay healthy, stay alive, and whatnot. And so a lot of that stuff was lost over the years. Not really lost, but toned down. The American way came in fast and furious. They got rid of all the things that they didn't really, that wasn't important to their goals. Yeah, what they were trying to do as assimilation and colonization or whatever it is that they were trying to do to make more money and to become more powerful and just acquire more before, of course, the inevitable end. And your journey is basically what it is you take with you. And so you're standing this line, and St. Peter comes up to you. Like I said, I know this was a long-winded beginning, but they ask you, says, okay, so your life, you want to talk about it? And why should you be entered into the gates of heaven, right? Well, like I said, the journey, and a lot of people are starting to realize that the journey is a majority of your travel. Yeah, I mean of your life. It's the moving from place to place, and then when you get to those moments of difficulty, you get up and over, and you rise up, and you make your way over that cliff, or you find yourself rolling backwards and making your way around it. Right, you come up with a new idea, but there's always some kind of motion, regardless of if it's a positive or a negative impact. It's always an impact that helps you to get better, to improve in your life. And so what I find really really cool about the Japanese culture is they have a particular thing called omiyage. Okay, so omiyage is a type of a gift giving, and it's to show respect and gratitude, but it's also to kind of share of what like bringing souvenirs back from a place that you go on, like shells or necklaces or artwork. You have these things that you bring home, even foods, and you share it with your family, and then you tell them the stories about them, how you acquired them, what lengths you went to getting it, or how it was procured, or where it even comes from. These create stories, and these people that are listening to these stories, your family, your friends, they grow from it. And they don't just grow from knowledge, they grow from gratitude and respect for other cultures. And that to me is amazing. So we came up to Japan with omiyage, right? So we bring Hawaiian Host chocolates, right? You can get these in Hawaii. And they're basically just chocolate covered macadamia nuts, right? Hawaii grown macadamia nuts. a majority anyway, and chocolate. So that's something that when you give it to, someone, they can share with you. Oh yeah, a family from Hawaii came, and these are the things they offered. And this is this and that and that, and that's amazing. And they do the same. They share with visitors those same gifts, those same makana. Yeah. So our term would be makana, our gift, and that is something that I want to kind of focus on is makana, omiyage, right? These gifts, these givings, right? How does it make you feel when you receive a gift? Some people feel great elation, yeah, gratitude, and whatnot. That's kind of like your more typical, but other people will be surprised, and some people might even be a little bit like taken aback, like maybe even like shameful because perhaps they didn't have anything to reciprocate with. There was nothing then for them to offer to to the host or to the person who was giving them a gift, right? They didn't really have something to offer back. And so it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, but it definitely makes you think next time. It's like, oh, maybe I should have something prepared next time. And it's like, some people will be like overwhelmed, say, wow, why should I waste my time wasting my money, wasting my time on grabbing stuff for other people and whatnot. It's kind of like this very inward and selfish thought. And so the idea is like sharing, offering. It's an offering. It's a gift. You're giving these people not just something to enjoy, like a tasty treat, a snack, soaps to clean. It's not just the physical idea of what it is. It's the spiritual, yeah? The spiritual and heartfelt acknowledgement, the ike, yeah, recognition that you're giving to somebody, like they're not just wallpaper. Yeah, when you go to an art museum, you don't go to look at wallpaper. You go to look at like amazing works that people have created. Yeah, sculptures, was that needlepoint, metal work, stuff like that. You're not just gonna go look at a whole bunch of like random wallpaper designs and stuff. You're actually looking and appreciating the artwork for the different times and what they had to use, and it comes back to the journey. How did these people get these types of materials back in the day when you have to travel miles and days to get in certain places that actually have that particular stone, that particular plant, that kind of animal that produces those colors needed for your art? Because certain colors you can get a particular color from different kinds of places, but how do they work with the material you're using? Yeah, some ways of getting color into like a painting or into thread so that you can create clothing and glass. Like they're all done in different ways. So these are the kinds of things that come into your brain after you've received them. It's like, wow, how'd they get these intricate small colors inside the glass, yeah, in this blown glass? How did they do that? And that's all conversations that can open up from those beautiful works of art. Those makana that you bring back inspire wonder, inspire creativity, inspire you to use your own gifts inside you that were God-given. You're using these gifts to help other people smile. You're using these gifts to make other people feel. You're using these gifts to give people information and teach them how to do something so that their life is easier. Yeah. And so makana is a huge important thing in many cultures. A lot of us, first of all, most of us do appreciate receiving. Yeah, receiving something, especially when it's unusual, expensive, valuable. I mean, these are the kinds of things that make you feel special. And so getting back to makana for our story time anyway. So nothing better than giving your parent, yeah, or when a child gives their parent something. Like most of your life, you're given things by your parents because they're taking care of you. Your mother's first gift, right, is is wayu, is giving you food, right? Food and sustenance, water, through her wayu, basically, her bosom, right? That's life. That's giving that gift to the child so that that child can give back a gift of happiness to the parents. And knowledge is the next thing that comes down, right? Teaching how to make sure that your child is safe and can take care of themselves, dropping down that knowledge. And there's a lot of families, there's a lot of parents who refuse to let their children do on their own. They refuse to let their children do on their own. So they're kind of starving that child of that gift, that makana. You're taking away from your child's learning when you're constantly doing for them, right? So we have these projects and whatnot at the school when I was working with the school, like it was a long time ago. And I see like teachers doing projects, and it's like, oh, some of these kids, they come up with these amazing projects, And then you kind of look at it and says, in school, when the kid is sitting down working, you cannot see that kind of quality work. But they take them home for the weekend and they come back with something that's totally beyond them. And it kind of makes you wonder, It's like, well, how did you do that? How did you make that? And when they just smile and says, oh, I just, look down at the ground, try to hide. Because when you create something amazing, when you do an artwork that you're proud of, when you write a paper that is the world, you put your gifts into that writing, into that artwork, into that food that you baked. When you give it to somebody, when that makana goes out and you hand it to somebody, your face is just as bright as the person receiving it, because you know how much hard work you put into it, right? You know how much work you had, how much of that journey that you took to learn how to do it, learn how to make it, go and acquire whatever you needed to do it, and you put it all into that gift. And when you give it, you're proud of it. But when the person didn't do anything to really create the said gift, you can tell, because they look down. Yeah, there's humility. There's people who are humble, but not to the point where they're hiding their face because they know it's shameful that their parent was the one that did all the work. Mom and dad wrestle away the paperwork from their kid. Okay, this is what the project needs. This is what we got. Let's put it together. And they come back to school with this huge finished project, flawless. It's like, oh, well, we're not really grading your parents on your artwork. We're not grading your parents on their ability to write. That's something that you need to do. So your parents are technically taking away your own ability to try and succeed in life. And so parents think that they're helping their child by doing the work for them, right? By picking them up every single time they fall down. And sometimes you got to let the kids stand on their own. And I'm not saying a baby fall down, you let them, you let them stay down in the dirt. No, you pick those ones up. There's always levels, yeah. And sometimes you got to pull the reins back when a kid starts getting to become adult. And those moments that you do for the child when they should be doing for themselves, you're stealing away. You're stealing away that moment that they can grow. And later on down in life, they're going to find out about it when you're not around anymore. And it's going to hit them harder. Because a lot of people around them says, bro, how come you don't know this? This is something that you weren't taught when you were younger. This is not something you experienced. It's like, oh, my mom used to do it for me all the time. She used to wash my clothes all the time. She used to make my food every day. Right? Didn't know how to do any of this stuff until now. So we got to remember too sometimes that when we think we're helping somebody, we're actually starving them of what they need, right? But those abilities that are created through those struggles and those travels, you can share them with your friends, you can share them with family, you can share them with other people, strangers you don't know, and just bring a smile to their face because, hey, your journey was from somewhere and you want to share that with another person. And so back in the day, my family, my ohana, generations and generations of before we became Christians would do the same thing. They would produce makana or omiyage, excuse me, for their parents and their kupuna and their ali'i and their ancestors, yeah? The ones that came before them and have passed on. And it's so sad to me. It's so sad to me when you, especially when you think about today and how we do things today, how misunderstood my culture, Kanaka Maoli, our culture, if you are Kanaka Maoli. It's really sad that our culture was so misunderstood by the Europeans, and how they just automatically assumed that we were giving sacrifice and offerings to the pagans, right? Paganistic deities, gods. And that's one of the things that I am incredibly adamant about, the fact that they got this stuff totally wrong. Insanely wrong. Like, I look at it today, right? As we go to cemetery, as we go to church, as we go to any places of worship or any places where bodies or people are at rest, you know, cemeteries, memorials, whatnot. The Arizona Memorial, take for example that. You know, it's like we go to these places, we go to these little shrines, we go to these small stone altars, and we leave flowers. We leave flowers, we leave candles, we leave pictures, we leave plush toys, we leave food. I've seen people leave oranges and peaches and whatnot on these graves. And these things cannot eat it. Headstones don't eat. Right? Headstones don't hug plushies. Headstones don't need books to read. What is the purpose of leaving these makana, these omiyage, on top of these memorials? You know, when we get a teenager that gets creamed on the side of the road because of drunk driving or some kind of terrible accident, a small little shrine pops up right where that person was hit. Big old cross, photograph of the person in the middle, flowers arranged all around it, you know, in loving memory of. Memory. What are we remembering? We're remembering a person who touched us. We're remembering a person that had their own life and their own journey. That memory, that loss of that particular individual in your life, especially if there's somebody who is a huge positive, a huge help in a community, in a person's life, right? A caregiver. It's sad to lose somebody like that. Almost impossible to get over. Years later, you're still thinking about them, still weeping, still grieving over their loss, over the loss of them not being there, right? But it's their journey that we're celebrating. We're celebrating what good people they were, what impact they had on our lives, and that becomes our journey. So to deny them flowers, to deny them plushies and tangerines and peaches in the afterlife, isn't that kind of sad? We know that they can't eat it. We know that they cannot really see it with their eyes. You know? So what do we do it? It's a spiritual thing. It's inside. It's the mana. The mana makana. The gift of the spirit. And so when you have this gift that you're giving to someone, there's flowers and whatnot, you are sending them a love letter from your heart. It's a symbol. It becomes more of a symbol that you're sending up to these people who have passed on. And so that's the same thing that our people would do for our ancestors, is they would provide these spiritual gifts used with our talents. And we leave them on these little altars with a possible picture or some kind of memory of that person sitting there, just like a headstone. And when the Europeans came over, they just automatically assumed that Hawaiians were worshiping deities and they were paganistic. It's just an assumption. And a lot of it is Whenever the Europeans landed somewhere, that's when it was discovered. Whenever the Europeans found something, that's when it was discovered. And it just blows my mind. It's like, wow, these people have been living there for thousands of years before you got there, and you are going to tell them what is right and what is wrong and what they're doing? How can you tell the world about a group of a civilization, a culture? How can you tell people around the world about these savage pagans, these barbaric people, when in actuality all they're doing is just giving homage, just honoring their ancestors, giving them their makana, giving them omiyage, to show them appreciation for all that they have done for them, all that they have taught them, all that they have dropped down through their genetics and bloodline, the knowledge that seeps down into the blood and you are giving to your offspring. How can you rob people of that? It's ridiculous. It's like telling somebody, no, you can't go inside the cemetery and give flowers. That's done. That's abolished. We're not doing that anymore. Right? Oh, no. You cannot tell your mom that you love them because she passed away, right? Your mom passed away already? Your grandma passed away? No, Paul, you cannot tell her you love her anymore, Paul. Done already. Because now you're being paganistic. And we don't believe in that. We believe in one God. Hawaiians have belief in one God. The problem is, well, actually, the great thing about Christianity, the great thing about the new way of religion that was brought here was the idea that you could speak directly to the Lord Almighty. Back in the day, no, too much respect. You go and pray to the person that was in your lineage, and that person will speak to God for you. It's the intermediary, huh? Talk through your line. So a lot of the makana, a lot of the gifts that we receive, we can't see. If the Spirit is giving us a gift, we definitely cannot see it. It's something that's going to be inside us. And it's up to us to bring those things to light, to create. Because we live in the physical, we need to create that physical gift so that we can honor our ancestors and present them to other people. That is spreading their memory. And that's the purpose of having these gifts, these makana, these omiyage, is to continue to spread that knowledge, that love, that light that we were gifted by our kupuna. So some people have immense mana, yeah? Great mana. And it's very, very evident through the fact that they can see things, hear things that other people cannot hear, see or hear. They can also communicate in a way that other people cannot communicate. And they are gifts. Those are gifts. But everybody is gifted in their own way, right? And some people get jealous. How come I don't have that ability? How come I can't do that? Everybody has the capacity to do because we are all from the same place. Some people just have an easier time doing it. Look at basketball, first of all. Yeah, not everybody is tall enough to reach the basket to slam dunk. But that doesn't stop the shorter people from trying and actually getting up there. Right? Lots of people who cannot do certain things and they defy the odds. And they get to the point where they're just as amazing as the people who are just naturally gifted in that area. Some people just have to work harder to get there. The worst thing is saying that you want to do something. You wish you could do something and never doing it. I used to get that all the time when I used to play my ukulele and my guitar and whatnot. I used to always hear people say, "Oh, I wish I could do something like that. I wish I had that talent." And I said, I wasn't born with an ukulele in my hand. This is something that I needed to learn. Now, if you wish that you had the talent of persevering, if you wish you had the talent of trying and not giving up, if you wish you had the talent of being able to recognize and learn, then that's something else. That's your physical capability. Yeah. Some people unfortunately have handicaps, but that doesn't mean that they're unable to do anything. They still have something to offer. Sometimes people are just here to love. Sometimes people are put on this planet just to love, just to hug, just to communicate with. And some people are just here to learn as much as they can before they go. Yeah. We shouldn't have any say in what other people do. We are not God. We do not make up the rules. Yeah. Because all the man-made rules, speed limits, do not do signs, permissions, all those things are broken every day. Nobody cares. Oh, why? Why should I follow the rules of this person? Just some arbitrary number, some lame excuse as to whatever. I mean, back in the day, there was plenty kind of high. Plenty. And when the missionaries came with the gift of God, the Makana of the knowledge of being able to speak to the One directly and saying that, oh, anything you say can be forgiven. You give them that option. Of course they're going to go the easy route, right? Anybody would. Anybody would go the easy route. If you've been living generations after generations of going through all the humbug of doing this, you cannot eat this, women cannot do that, women cannot eat that, men and women cannot be in the same room during this time. Once you give an option saying, no, you guys can actually stay together. Women can actually eat this kind of stuff. They can actually participate in these kinds of things. All if you apologize and say sorry to God. Wouldn't you get rid of all that crap? All that stuff that you'd have to do because you were too afraid to offend someone's lineage? Right? Women cannot eat banana because they're offending a particular, they call him God. But it's actually an ancestor. An ancestor. Right? Lono. You're offending Lono if you eat the banana. So only men are allowed to eat it. Now look. You give the gift of forgiveness. You give the gift of just not getting in trouble for something. With all the protocols and whatnot that Kanaka Maoli would do. Entering into a person's domicile. Walking up to the upland into the forests, collecting flowers, collecting materials from the mountainside, fishing, right? Gathering food. Everything was shown appreciation and was given some kind of makana, omiyage, right? There was always a sacrificial fish. The best catch, the biggest catch, was given to the ones before us to honor them, right? That age-old tale of Cain and Abel, right? The first two sons of Adam. The second son, Abel, gives the best of everything, the fattest cuts, right? And Cain goes and gives the leftovers. God favors Abel for doing what he did and is disgraced by Cain. And then Cain is over there wondering why. Oh, how come you're favored by God? How come Dad loves you more? Maybe because he gave the best. Because the parent gave them everything in the beginning. Right? It was just a way of honoring, respecting. Right? And then you have later on, when you have the ancient strangers appearing in Polynesia, they introduced something called sacrifice, human sacrifice, blood sacrifice. That's not a Hawaiian thing. Our heiaus were never about sacrifice and bloodletting. That was a very, very late addition, right, to our lives. It's like a stranger coming to your house and bringing something foreign that's not good for you. We'll call it a cigarette, and placing it inside your living room where you hang out. You get curious and you try it. And then all of a sudden you get sick because of that cigarette. Because of those things that are brought into your home. Makes you feel good at first. Like, oh, this is kind of nice. But then later on down the road, you realize that it's not good for you. So you got to stop. Right? God never wanted us to sacrifice lives. Right? When you have the God, Ku Ka'ilimoku, who's asking for blood sacrifice. Would that come from God? No. But it comes from a guy who was good at killing. Right? Ku. They call him the god of war. Like Ares. But it's just that this guy was a mean mama jamma. Right? And who are you going to call upon to help you to fight in a battle? You're going to call the what's that called? The little hairy guy that's digging holes in the ground looking for small like snails? Or you're going to call Hercules? Who are you going to call forth? Right? You want somebody that you know can help you win the war, can win the battle, right? And that's an unfortunate part of our history that was introduced by foreign people, yeah? It's taken instead of given. The gifts that you offer are way more potent. They take longer. The seed takes longer to grow. But they are way more potent over a long, sustainable time. Like knowledge, love, a kind word, yeah? Those are the things that last longer than belligerence, than war, than hurting others, greed, looking for power. Those are all short-lived. And you may get a short burst, right? It's just like pushing your way through a crowd. Everyone's in a line. We're all in line getting like to where we gotta go. Right? Stuck in traffic. Sometimes there's traffic. Because everyone is on the same path. Sometimes we all have to learn at the same time. Sometimes there's traffic. And this guy comes around with a bulldozer and starts coming from behind and just starts pop, 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 whacking everybody out of the way. That bulldozer is representing a sacrifice, right? The blood sacrifice. This guy got this brand new shiny armor and he's whacking his way, hitting all these people out of the way. You're going to get to where you got to go quicker, easier, but in the end, you turn around and look at the destruction in the wake of your making. And then you realize that, you realize two things. It's like, yeah, I made it. But everyone is going to make it sooner or later. Everyone gets there too. You get there a little bit faster. But now everybody that you ran over, they're going to look at you and give you the stink eye, man. Now, you may not care about the stink eye. But when your kids come out and you're living on top of that hill, that stink eye is still going to be looking at you. And now it's going to be looking at your kids. And that stink eye just doesn't come from the people, the Makana, the faces inside the land. It's coming from the people that passed too. Yeah? All the Aumakua that's on the back of those people still looking at you too, giving you the evil eye. And what is taken by force can be removed by force. Yeah? So I think that's one of the lessons that we in Hawaii need to learn. You know. Although Kamehameha was trying to do something great, he was trying to unify the islands under one religion. Yeah, one mindset, one heart. It's a great idea. It was a novel idea. A beautiful concept. But once he started dipping into the dark ways, only after a few generations was there power to control, and it was all taken away by the person that left that cigarette there in the living room. It was all taken away because now lung cancer, right? Gum cancer, just issues. So now we stand in a place where we need to return to the old ways and show people appreciation and respect and honor, because we all have this journey that we're traveling. And there are so many people out there that can offer you so many kind words and helpful stories, amazing stories that you can also share them with your family, right? Have something to talk about. It's not just about drama. Yeah, drama. People talking about somebody, oh yeah, this guy came in late to work today again. It's like, who cares? You don't know what this guy is dealing with at home, right? And besides, if anybody's going to worry about it, it's going to be the person who hired him, right? Because if that person who hired this guy's not performing, they're going to go up to them and say, hey, what's going on, buddy? And they'll get it straightened out. It's none of your business. Unless you're the person that hired them, it's none of your business. Everybody's life is different. You can't expect everyone to be going through the same thing, that the same way you're going through it. We're all presented our own individual challenges that we can overcome one way or another. Yeah, but saying things like that about people when you have no idea what their story is, it's kind of like taking away from them. It's taking. Rather than lending support by saying, hey, is everything okay at home? You know, if there's anything I can do to help, let me know. Because I notice, you're showing up a little later. And then they'll probably tell you the story. They'll probably give you their journey. And they say, oh, I had to buy extra insulin because someone stole it from my car. And this wasn't covered by my insurance. So, unfortunately, I couldn't afford it. And now I'm kind of running a little bit low, and I just don't have the energy to get to where I need to be on time a lot. And my brain is scattered because my sugars are too high. And then that person can maybe offer them, you can offer them support rather than lipping about the fact that they're late again. And say, hey, you know what? Why don't you go check out the health center? Get hooked up with some kind of benefit through there, and maybe they can help you receive your medication at a cheaper cost. Now we're not talking about stealing drugs from somebody else to use, or using someone else's medications to correct the situation. We're looking for an actual solution, not just a band-aid. Yeah. So the idea is to give rather than just constantly taking. Everybody is consuming. That's the American lifestyle, right? Consume, take, mind, greed. The idea is to give. Give of yourself, create, make something, right? Do something that helps other people. Because when you do that, it comes back around. Regardless if it comes to you, it might drop down to your wife or your husband. It might go to your mom or your auntie. They couldn't carry the groceries to their car. And some guy came up and says, hey, I can help you, auntie. Hey, let me help you. I'll take your wagon back too, no worries. And people just did that more often. If they gave more often, rather than just constantly taking. What can I get? How much can I get? I'm not worried about it. It's like, oh, tsunami coming. Load up on that toilet paper. Buy 20 packages of toilet paper. Tsunami passes. Okay, I got to return 19 because I only need one. What about all those people that needed toilet paper at that time? Right? Belligerents. That's when you start getting the evil eye people watching you bring all that toilet paper back to Costco. Right? Watching you bring all that bottled water back to Safeway. It's like, wow, you greedy buggers. I remember you guys. I remember exactly who you are. My Oma Cool watching couldn't remember you too. And then there was one, oh, why me? Why me? Why does this always happen to me? Because you're pushy. You're a taker, not a giver. So, the Aina gives so much. And that's where I'll probably leave it today. Just the Aina gives us so much. And all we can do is mistreat her with littering, yeah, with just pollution, garbage. That's how we repay Papa for all that she has given us. You treat her like dumb, like rubbish. Yeah. Maybe that's what we should do today. Think about somebody that, we don't often talk to, or we see at work and nobody really says anything to them. Maybe offer them a Makana. It doesn't have to be anything you have to buy. Just a hello, just a good morning, how are you? Something simple. You may be surprised, you might make a friend who knows something that you don't, that could be very valuable in your life. I mean, I'm not saying to do it because you're going to get something out of it, but that's just how things work when you are the type of person who offers. Yeah, you seem to get a return on something in a different kind of way. So anyway, I guess I'll leave it with that. Yeah, Makana, very important. And some people will get jealous and misconstrue the idea of what the purpose of that gift was. And if they have a problem with it, they can come up to you and ask you about it. But if they're just going to talk behind your back and just, give you that bad EBGB feeling because you did something nice for somebody else, don't let it bother you. Let it go. Yeah. Because you know what you're doing in your heart is right. And that's all that matters. Okay? All right. Well, we'll see you next time on our Mo'olelo Mondays. Have an awesome one. Ahui ho. Malamapono.